Hi guys, stick around. We're going to go through the complete build of this quad here. Hi everybody, welcome back. I'm now ready to start the actual build project that I was going to start with the frame build. Hopefully you caught the video when we built this frame. I've just been gathering parts and making sure I've got everything before I did this build. So what we're going to be looking at is a 6S build. We're going to be using DJI HD on a 6S. We've got pacer motors that I've done a little review about. We've got a beautiful flight controller Mamba stack. This is actually the DJI plug and play version. So this is the F405, F54, F54 and 1ESC, and this is compatible 3 to 6S. So plug it in, whack a 6S in, no problems. I also have a mount for the antenna. We'll be looking at the DJI components to actually convert it from their standard connections into 2 SMAs. So these will be fitting into this. I'll show you that in more detail as well. This is just your battery connection. Quite tricky to get this soldered on. We're going to be soldering up a Crossfire Nano. So I only seem to fly Crossfire these days, just gives me a bit more confidence. I've got some components as well from T-Motor. This is the actual GoPro mount. So we'll also be taking a look at that and putting that on the frame. And I remember that beautiful battery strap I kept on going on about in the build, because it is a very nice strap. So we're going to quickly see how these parts fit in before we start doing soldering, so we can plan out how they fit best. So the air unit is going to go in first, because this cable will always, for me, sit under the flight controller. The flight controller will sit here. You can see that air unit actually fits very nicely. There's a bit of give in that cable, which is nice. I'm going to have to change these. I put these in initially. I'm going to change these to the larger standoffs. The air unit's going to fit there. Air unit, the flight controller even. Just like that. Your battery cable. And for me, I want to actually tie it off. I like to tie it off just in case you get a battery that ejects, because if you get a battery that ejects, you're going to lose these straight off your flight controller. So you want to just give it a little bit of support with a cable or a pull tie, just so it takes the tension off it. I suppose whether you solder it in straight or at an angle. Some people like to solder these at an angle. As you see it, there they are. Getting those soldered in is a bit of a bitch show, to be honest with you. But I'm sure you'll discover that if you carry on watching my video. Okay, let's get these standoffs into place anyway. So with the DJI build, that's pretty much it. I know that my Air is going here. Let's take a quick look at that one actually. So this is a standard Crossfire Nano. Well, it's the special edition. It actually comes with the Mortal T. Mortal? What do they call it? Who knows? Open that up. And then we'll see where the actual arrow is going to go. I think the arrow is going to go under. So that's going to fit at the back nice, as you can see. the aerial will fit nicely there. But how are you going to get that? That can feed back under there. Or do we go over? We'll probably end up going over the top again. But that will fit there either way. Worst case, we can tie it off onto an arm. What I like doing is normally feeding these up and through, so that may be an option. This way you're planning. If you plan it right, it'll work a lot better for you. So let's see where that will go. So I think that could actually go under. So let's try that again. Get the air unit in. Might be a little bit too much tension. I think we're just going to have to go over. Go old school. Old school, straight over. With the air unit, I am just going to be taping it on. So, okay, there you go. All I've done is put these larger standoffs in it, and I'm going to put a flight controller on that, or the stack, and we'll take it from here. There we go. Here on your flight stack, you've got a little arrow. Come on, camera. Just going to do my fingers instead, isn't it? You've got a little arrow here, and that points towards the front. So that's generally how you want to stick it in. So as our drone's facing that way, make sure your arrow goes that way. Put it on. There. So as you're seeing your flight stack in place, or flight controller. There's your aerial. So there you get the idea. What we're going to have to do though, because I always do this, put this on, but we're going to have to feed the DJI camera cable under it, and to do that we need this off. This is where a bit of planning helps. Bear with me, and I'm going to put this, do that all again. So here we are, taking the flight stack off again so I can feed this cable under. Put the ESCs back in place. I might get rid of these standoffs just to give me a little bit more room to work while I actually solder, because I'm going to solder this. I might actually not. I was going to solder it in place, but I don't know if I want to take that risk with this cable. So there's a lot of things to think about. Make sure you do it correctly, make sure you're not going to scorch things with your soldering iron. You want this to end up neat, you want it to work, you don't want to singe parts. So you want to take your time, make sure you get everything right. Even on this camera, there's a little arrow to make sure you get it facing the right way. So there, anyway, we're getting the idea, aren't we now? Aerial's going to go over the top. That's going to be the best place for it. Camera's there. Let's get a proper idea. Always like it when the motors come on. There we go. Very sexy motors. Love these motors. Never used them, so I don't know how good they are, but they look the business, don't they? Look at them. Swing. Wow. Yeah, very nice. So they are going to look the business on there. Like I said, I've got a mount for the back. Got my battery cable, which I'm going to figure out if I can stick it out the back, which I'm sure I can. Okay, I'm going to get another part. We're going to look at screwing these motors into place, and then I'll be back. We're just going to get these motors on now. There we go. There we go, starting to look a bit more like a quad. Maybe a little bit messy with all those wires over at the moment, but you get the idea. So this is where you need to think about how you're going to do this. Obviously we need to trim these wires. You can go round under the screws and in, or you can just attach them. This is where we're going to do some cutting and we're going to do some soldering. Okay. Okay, so here you are. We've got a pretty good idea of how the quad's going to look. We've got these components in place. So we know the air unit's going here, motors are in place, everyone's going to fit. What I'm going to do now, I mean this is why your planning comes into place. You really want to plan it out, make sure your quad's going to look nice. We're going to take the ESCs off. I'm going to solder up the battery. I'm going to remove the DJI Air unit, obviously until we put it all back into place. And then we'll look at trimming these wires and soldering those on as well. I'm probably going to get some solder onto these pads onto the ESC so we can just do that straight away. I'm going to do again is just use a bit of card for protection, and then we're going to start getting some solder onto these. I'm going to leave that in place. I've got some blue tack. If you saw my soldering video earlier, it's around. Blue tack is probably the best way just to stick it down. yourself a surface, get yourself some blue tack, stick it on, there you go. Now we can move that around nicely and get a solder on. Let's zoom in for you. Here we go. A little bit more. There, you can see what I'm doing. Okay, what I've done here is I've just got a bit more blue tack, and what I'm actually going to do is hold this cable in place so I can put some solder on top, and hopefully we'll get a nice, neat, smart connection. But let's see how it goes. Okay, get a nice hot solder iron. Make sure everything's good to go. Make sure you've got enough room. Now you need to heat this. If I mess this up, I do apologise. Get that shot for you. Okay guys, got one in. Let's get the next battery cable in. Obviously make sure you get them in the right place. Line it up there. What I'm going to do for this actually is use a bit of this. Okay, here we go. Just lost the end. I told you these batteries are the worst. See how that looks on the other side. Let's get some solder and some heat into these ESC pads. What I do is work down from the top. So you want to work at the farthest one and then work down. There we go. All of them done. So the ESC pads seem to be a lot easier. Let's see how I've done it. Let's have a look. Just camera focuses. There we go. So that's not too bad, I don't think. Okay, so we're going to get this ESC board back in place. I might actually remove these standoffs just so I've got a bit more room to work with. Let's do that now. Leave the air unit out of the place as well. Turn her out of the way. So there, we're going to look at this battery cable coming out the back. We'll leave it like that for now. This is going to sit here. Let's get some gummers on there just to hold it into place, so we know exactly where it's going to sit. Start moving it around as well. We also need to get the capacitor on here, which I've almost forgotten about. So there. So let's look at these motor cables. We're going to also braid these. Let's leave some slack. Remember, you've got to cut them, trim them, retin them. Make sure you leave enough room. And the slack actually helps, because if you do crash, then it gives a bit of slack on the wires. And that's what the look I'm going to go for, a bit of slack there. And we're going to cut them here, and that'll be plenty of room. Cut. No going back. Okay, I haven't got a wire stripper, but I find something that works well is my teeth, which I'll show you in a second. Let's do this other one. That. So there we go. Okay. So we're going to look at some braiding on these cables now, on these wires. What I want is for the braiding to actually just sit on here nicely. So I'm going to measure these out and trim them off. So it'll sit in there very nicely. I've got some heat shrink tubing, which we only need a small bit. There's the tubing. I like to singe these ends. Heat shrink, heat shrink, heat shrink on. Like so. Get cables, wires. Insert. There we go. That went on very easily. There, I think you'll agree that's going to look quite smart. have to loosen this motor to get that on there nicely. Boom, very nice. I'm going to use a lighter just to get this on there right now, just so I don't lose the place. Okay, so I'm just heating up the heat shrink. There we go. As you can see, nice and tidy. So using a lighter is a neat little way if you haven't got a heat gun. Obviously don't get the flame too close as you will singe or burn parts of your quad, so don't do that. Okay, I'm going to get the rest of these on and I'll be back in a jiffy. What I've done here, guys, is put the DJI Air unit back in place under the ESCs. We've got the 4 motor wires braided. Now what we need to do is take these ends off, tin the wires up, and we are going to solder to the ESC board. So for these, I'm just going to use my teeth. Bear with me and I'll just get these done. So I'm just pinching and twisting the wires, making sure they're all together. Need a bit of weight just on those, just to hold them down. That'll do nicely. A little bit too much on there. Okay, a little bit too much on that one actually. Sweep it off. There we go. Okay, so we're going to look at connecting the first ones. Let's take this one right here. Just remember how it's going to go on. 1, 2, 3. This one, 1, 2, 3. So this will be the first one. And I'll just press into there. Easier to work the right way around. So we start at this side and work down because you've got to think about where the soldering iron is going to rest. Where probably a pair of tweezers would be good. Just like so. Make sure your iron's hot enough and then sink it in. That's sunk in nicely. Okay, I'm happy with them. They're all in. Yeah. All in place. Take this wire in. We're almost getting there. There we go. So it's starting to look a bit more like a quad. I'm going to put this capacitor in place. They come with the stack that I bought. Capacitors generally, the longer is the plus, shorter is the negative. But you see it's a bit tricky there, so I'm going to actually trim these the same length and then get it in place. See if we can attach it to. It's a bit better. I'm completely sure it's in, but we'll go with that. Put more solder on here. And we're just trying to sink this in. Probably not the smartest capacitor I've ever put in. It's definitely on. Okay, it's not the neatest, but it's in place. So we're going to look at the actual receiver now, which is going to be a Crossfire Nano, which is lying around over here. Here's the little beauty. There's your cables. This comes with a nice little bit of heat shrink as well. Heat shrink. Cables. Lots of cables. So we need red and a black, always useful. Red and a black. Yellow and a white we'll go for. on this, we have the crossfighters up here with various pads though. I've actually drawn myself a little diagram for this one. So if you can see it, let's just zoom in on the camera. Top 3 are LED. So these are 5-volt LED ground. And then you've got a ground and a 5-volt. So the top 2 are what we want. Then you miss one because it's a 3-volt pad. And then you've got your RX, which is your RC, and then you miss one, then you've got your TX. So I'm going to get some solder onto these pads. Okay, so here we are. Let's get these on. I think what's the best way. So this is the 1, 2, 3 are the LED. This one is the ground. Here's the 5-volt. You've got ground 5-volt, miss one, and you've got an RX pad. Mess that up a little bit, brilliant. There we go. Miss one, and then you're in. Miss one, and you've got the TX. So that should be okay. See if we can get a little bit more solder in that one. There we go. That's what I do. I'll tin these wires up. 2. Last one, and these wires should sync very nicely, I'd hope. There we go. Actually do the nano itself first. Ground. Ground. Make sure that's in. Then you have the live. Make sure that's wrapped. I have to tin this again. Looks like it's not very well tinned. There we go. Live. Put your live and your neutral. And these are channel 1 and channel 2, TXRX I believe. Not sure if I'm wrong, you can tell me. Look at that, make sure that's okay. That'll be fine. last one. Let's see how that one is. I think we're almost there. Yeah, happy with that. That should be fine. I'll just put a little bit, touch more solder on that, just for my own peace of mind. But it should be okay. Okay, let's leave it like that. Okay, that's good. Can you see? Neutral live, channel 1, channel 2, in. So now we're going to wire these up to the flight controller. Okay. Let's get this Crossfire Nano wired into our flight controller. So this top one here is the ground. I mean, if they could make these connections any smaller, it'd be lovely, wouldn't it? It'd be... So you've got a neutral. Just going to make sure he's sunk in, because I'm not convinced. Neutral. Got your live. Sunk in nicely. More solder on that. I'm going to check that ground connection's okay. I'm going to put a little bit more solder on this pad here. Might be a little bit too much, but it never is by the time you mess it up. Last wire, and then we're going to revisit that neutral wire because it just looks a little bit pokey out to me. That's where I actually hit my flipping finger. Revisit this neutral wire just because I don't think it's in well enough. Okay, there we go. One more sync on that neutral wire. So when it gets too hot, you need your pliers. Okay, I'm happy with that. Okay, there you have it. So there we have our flight controller with our crossfire attached, soldered up. See if you can see that one again. Looks okay to me. So that'll go on here. Also, if I show you, flex that goes here, arrow pointing towards the front of your quad. This is going to come around here. This attaches in here. But what we have is some more heat shrink, which I kept. Cut a little bit off. I always find it's too much. Heat shrink, sometimes you just can't open the stuff. There we go. Heat shrink on. This heat shrink actually makes these connections nice and secure. So get your crossfire. What we're going to do is we're going to clip it on. You have to be careful with these things. Because they are small. Might help if I actually take it out of here. I'll save messing around. Okay, attach the aerial antenna. Oh, this is where it doesn't go on, and this is where I break the bloody... There we go. But what I actually wanted to do was put that over the top, so we're going to do that again. Take that off, because there is a way of doing it. Attach the aerial, and we're going to slide the heat shrink over the top, so it actually makes it a lot securer. So there. If we put it like that, heat shrink over the top. The only one drawback is that you do cover your bind button, but on the first bind, crossfire just binds anyway. I've only had to take a couple of these off. Find your trusty lighter. Put it off there so you can maneuver it. And heat shrink. nicely on there. So that's going to keep your antenna position nice and well. So twist these wires up. Everybody loves twisted wires, makes them stronger apparently. Back in place there. Antenna goes back in. I'm going to feed those cables under that. For me, I'm happy if that stays loose, or I might get a bit of tape and stick it on top of the actual air unit just to keep it secure. But there, we're almost home dry. So we can plug in the ESC to the flight controller. That's plugged in. Got plenty of room for the air unit. Need to connect the camera. Not bad, we're getting there. So what I'm going to do with this air unit is I'm basically just going to use some industrial strength double-sided tape, stick on the bottom and stick it down to the actual plate. I may use a zip tie, but I may not. Get yourself some industrial tape. I like to double this stuff up for extra security. So double it up. I'm going to actually remove this antenna again. Get this out of the way, get that cable out of the way. And then we're going to put the tape on the base. Get it to size. And stick. Next piece. Perfect. And stick that down as well. So there. We're going to go take these backs off and we're going to stick it straight down. If we can. There's one. Thank God. I do wonder, do people actually dub their films after? Because I can honestly not think of enough to say whilst I'm making it. So there, that's off. Get that. Oh, what I will do actually is, before I stick it down, just so I've got a bit of easier access, I'm going to put the cable in. So I've got the air unit cable here. Just slots in there. Click. I should have enough room to sort the arrows out when it's in place. I may have to take the standoffs off again, but we can do that. Okay, I want to get this nice and square. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I'm happy with that because it's not going to move. Press it down. Cable's in. Twist this up a bit. So everybody likes twisting their cables. Slot that into place. Not going to go in there because my capacitor's in the way. There we go. It is a little bit long. So, this cable's a little bit longer than I like. I mean, you could feed it around there, I suppose. Maybe I should have put it under and up. That might have been nicer. Then I got no way of actually getting it out. So we'll have a think about that. We'll see if we can tidy that up somehow. Right now we're going to make sure this is all in place and is going to work. So that's plugged in, cable's in, crossbar's in, everything is pretty much in place. Batteries there, aerials, let's put the aerial back. Antenna if you prefer, guys. Doesn't really bother me. So this is where you start thinking, oh yeah, it's going to look really nice, and then you end up with these cables which you wish you didn't have, but are a necessity. Okay, so they might go there nicely. I'll have to sort those out again. Okay, bear with me, I'll be back in a sec. Hi, so all I've done is I've wound these cables a little bit tighter, just so they're a bit smarter. Everything else is in the same place. Antenna's back in place. This is there. I've got the camera. Camera's here. It's got some room to move, which is good. Make sure it's the right way up. There's an arrow marked on there. I don't know why it's not playing ball there, but it will. So that's the correct way. There, we're home dry almost. So we've got our receiver, got our air unit, got the capacitor in, air unit's plugged in, ESC's plugged in, battery cable's in, antenna in place, we've braided our wires, everything's in. All we need to do now really, screw the camera in, and then we need to see if it'll power up, which is the fun part. Hopefully there's no smoking. So I'll be back again in a minute. Cheers guys. So I was just looking at these standoffs and it is actually quite tight. So I've had to move the capacitor slightly just to get the standoffs back in place, because obviously this frame has the 3 parts to it. But I think it's actually going to work out quite nicely, because that is actually going to hold the capacitor just in place. So I like it, it's not bad. Let's get these on, I'll show you how it looks. So there. Actually fits very snug. I like it. Keeps that capacitor just there, like that. Use the crossfire accessible there. This is going to go out the back. Let's find my plate so I can show you. There's the plate. Fits perfectly. I do want to tie this battery cable off though, just to release the pressure, so I am going to zip tie it to one of these standoffs here. I'll do that in a bit. Let's get the flight controller bolts on. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So everything is pretty much in place. Just need to sort this camera out. We're going to connect this camera to the side plates and get this into position. And I think guys, we're pretty much there. As long as I don't lose these tiny screws, we should be okay. One. Doesn't look completely right to me. Sinking back there. Turn this around. Make sure I've got the camera the correct way. Yes, because there's a nice little arrow on there. Unfortunately, for some reason, it looks like T-Motor only give you 2 screws for this. Because this camera is slightly smaller than standard ones, you need to put the spacer in between these 2 plates, and the screws that DJI supply are actually too small. And I haven't got another 2 lying around anywhere, so I'm going to have to just go with the 2 screws for now, 1 on each side, just to get this build into place. And then I will have to inquire and buy some. But I want to show you this build pretty much finished. So there. Camera, flight stack, motors, air unit. We are pretty much there. Apart from I've forgotten to put this one standoff in place. So let's do that now. Hopefully the camera won't fall out. Screw that on. Hopefully I didn't miss it. No, got that. Sorry for the blurry. There, standoff in place. Zoom out a little bit for you. There we go. Let's get these top plates on. That's the front. Get the back in place. I obviously did want to tie this battery off somehow. I need to take a bit of tension out of it. I've also got something that actually might tie it off a little bit nicer at the top. So I've got this, which is actually from an Apex build. And that might go on nicely. So I'm going to actually stick this on here. Stick that on there. That means these cables are going to come out the back up high. And I might actually tie it off to the top plate, you see. Oh, I've completely forgotten something to do though, haven't I? What have I forgotten? I've forgotten to put the antenna on the actual air unit. Okay, backtrack a little bit, guys. This is why you should have a plan, really. Okay, so I've got these converters. They convert to SMA connectors. There they are. This is where I knew I was going to have to remove one of these standoffs. So I'm going to have to take these standoffs off, which is no hardship, to be honest. Standoffs come off nice and easily. These plug in nice and securely. Click, you heard the click. We're in business. Let's put them down like that. Click. We're in business. So these need to fold up a little bit towards the top. They need to fold up towards the top. Yeah, they'll sit beautifully just there. I bought this 3D printed part which actually puts these SMAs in nicely as well. Everything seems to be so nice. There's a spacer there which we're going to leave out. These are very tough. Probably should have put them in first before I actually connected them to the air unit. There's one. Here's the other. This can be a little bit tight. Once in. You know what people say, the tighter the better. There we go. All in. So there. So I'm going to push these over here. And then we'll connect the whole thing up again. So there. So you can see that end. It's obviously going to keep my crossfire antenna in, and it's going to sit against the air unit nicely as well and keep those nice and secure for me. So it's a very neat solution. I have to raise this up a little bit just so it fits on. There we go. Get these into place. One. Find the other. So you find you've just lost a screw. You know you had it. Okay. So there. Can you see that? It's quite a nice little solution at the back. May leave us there. I might push my pull up a bit. I think that'd be fine. I think that'd be fine. Tighten this up. Tighten this up too. There. Now we're going to put the top plate on. Oh, and that little bit that we found. Perfect. I need one more bolt because I did lose one. So here we'll go with this. There we go. So let's zoom in again. So there you can see the back. We've got this part which I stole off an old Apex build. Thank you. You've got your crossfire antenna put in nicely from this part which actually supplied with the frame. I purchased this part from Brain 3D, I believe it is. They do 3D printing over in America. Thank you. Got my SMA converters, they're plugged in. The actual standoffs, you'll see in the back. I mean, that's got absolutely no chance of coming out of there. Can you see that? No chance at all. There it is. See that little gold shimmer? That's just going nowhere. The capacitor actually worked out nicely because that is actually squashed in a little bit by the standoff. I think that turned out alright. I need to tie this off, which I'm going to tie, I might tie it to the top plate. A little zip tie around there just to finish it off. Let's get the final plate in place. If I haven't lost it. That's plugged in, that's all plugged in, crossfire's in, we're all wired up. Plates there. So there we go. What do we think? HD build, 6S. We've got 1950 kV motors, which I think look a treat. We've got the braided cables, which I actually really like. I think it looks sweet. Proofo's in the flight, isn't it? And she's not the lightest, but she is a freestyle quad, and she is on a 6S build. That's just a cover. Take the cover off. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. So last couple of things, we're going to put the SMAs on the back, and I've got that 3D printed mount for the front, for the GoPro. Let's get this in place, and that is pretty much it, guys. Take a couple of shots just to show you what it's like. All I'm going to do now is put the SMAs on the back. Very simple process. These are DJI official ones, so I should have no issues whatsoever. There we go. Very simple. That's just going to go on the front, so take these off. When I found the actual D screws are too small, so I have to replace them with a slightly larger. Slightly longer, I should say. So these are going to be perfect. Of course, a naked quad looks a little bit nicer, but if you want to get that GoPro footage, you're going to have to put one of these on. Last bolt, and then we're going to actually fire it up. See if anything smokes. If anything smokes, I'll probably cry on camera. Yeah, there you go. So that's the official T-Motor GoPro Hero mount. I think this does your 5, 6 and your 7, not your 8. So there, I think that build turned out pretty nicely. You can tell me if you think different down below. There we have it, all in place. Quickly go over the build. We've got your DJI antenna on the back, SMA. Got the SMA holder mount, 3D printed, and we've got the crossfire mount. Got the DJI Air unit, got your huge capacitor. I might actually put a bit of black tape over that just to disguise it a little bit better. We've got your Mamba stack, which is an F4, F5. It's got an F50 ESCs. What else we got going on here? Obviously the DJI camera. You've got the actual T-Motor mount. We've got those lovely motors, which are the Pacer, and they're the 1950 kVs. And yeah, and that's about it, guys. We've got that lovely frame. I really quite like the frame, to be honest with you. The T-Motor FT5 frame. Roomy. Tell me what you think. Okay, I said I'll do this. We're going to fire it up, plug a battery live on camera, and see what happens. So let's just plug it in, and hopefully we'll get the lovely noises. Hey. There we go, guys. Plugged in. We have lights. So we see my crossfires waiting to be bound. DJI Air units on, the stack's flashing away. We had the lovely beeps. So what I'm going to do now is set it all up in beta flight and set the controller up, which is going to be another video. So thanks a lot. Very happy with that. Okay, this is the final thing now. We're going to put some props on it. I've got these HQ props that are in a lovely purple colour, which I think would go great with the orange. So let's crack these open. And I'm just going to whack these on. I don't comment if I get them in the wrong place, because I'm just putting them on to show you what they look like. There we go. See those props shimmer? Let's zoom out so we can actually appreciate that, because I think that looks pretty damn hot. There we go. I'll take some shots from down below as well so you can see it. And that is one lovely looking quad. And the purple and the orange with a little hint of green at the back. Excuse my voice. I mean, the purple props with the orange and a little hint of green at the back actually looks really, really nice. Yeah, very happy, very happy. I think I said that a few times on my videos.